Like, never like, never like, never like.
Good morning, gang. For those of you that are new here, my name's Arena, and for those of you that are already subscribed, thank you so much for coming back to my videos and joining me here today. Today's video is me I do this for myself because I am in my 30s now, and I am not in a committed relationship. And so I am always nurturing myself on a daily basis to make sure that I don't fall prey or into the trap of that mentality of, my time is running out, or I should start compromising on values and my needs and what I believe I deserve and what I'm worth. So the reason why I made this video is because I am sure there are so many people in the same boat as me. Doesn't matter if you're male, doesn't matter if you're female. I feel like perhaps it can be a little bit easier for males because a lot of the time the currency they run with in terms of appearance and looks seems to be increasing. Like their looks do tend to get better as they get older, which I'm so jealous about. Lucky guys. But on a serious note, I do think it's very difficult as we get older and as we kind of know ourselves a bit better. Like one of the things that I've worked really hard on is actually knowing myself. And the reason why I'm so particular about doing that is because in the past, when I didn't know myself, I would perhaps accept things or go along with things or go out of my way. And I didn't really know my limits and my boundaries. And when I felt, I didn't recognize when too much felt too much for me. And so I would be overdoing things or giving too much or tolerating things that I was really not okay with, but out of a fear of kind of like whether I don't want to lose this person, or maybe I'm just being unreasonable and things like that. Because I didn't truly know myself, I became resentful, and things don't work out when you feel like that anyway. Someone's gonna be unhappy, whereas it may just be my experience, but I found that the people that I was in the relationship with, the guy would be more comfortable with saying what they need or taking what they need, or being very upfront about the things that they are about or they're not about. And this was a learning process for me because I never really understood. First of all, I never really understood myself. Second of all, I didn't know myself, so it was very difficult for me to express or to communicate things, and I would just then feel very taken advantage of or resentful or unhappy. So as I've gone through those kind of processes, I'm very particular in my own life about getting to know myself and feeling enough and feeling worthy. And I don't mean this in a, I deserve, a millionaire that is perfect in every way and does as I say. I don't mean it that way. I think being able to communicate is the biggest lesson in my life, but that I've learned. But the problem with that is you can't communicate something if you don't know what you're trying to communicate, if you don't really know yourself. When you understand yourself and have learned what is okay, what you're about, what you value, what you're passionate about, what your hard limits are, things like that, unless you understand yourself to express those things, you're never going to be able to express them because you don't know what they are. So as I've kind of gone through my own journey in life with relationships, I've realized there were a lot of things that I didn't understand about myself in the first place. There were a lot of things I didn't feel, I didn't have clarity about. So obviously, how could I have ever formed a healthy relationship with someone when I didn't know myself in the first place and I couldn't express myself? So I'm learning more than ever that communication is the holy grail. So knowing yourself comes first. But after this, and I will tell you how I realized that I had to get to know myself. It's because the same thing was happening. I was with a different person, but again, I was going out of my way and they were taking and leaving, or taking and treating me in a certain way that was really hurtful for me. And I realized, number one, why do I attract these sort of people? Like, I had to sit back and ask myself, what's common in these situations? Number one is me. I'm attracting that person. I'm the one letting that person into my life, and I'm the one that's not able to express myself, and then I hurt myself in that process. So in my journey, there are a few phases that have kind of got me to the place where I am today, which is a much better place, but I'm still learning. The first thing was, if you feel like you're not able to find that person, and maybe you go on dates and maybe you get to a point and then all of a sudden you're doing too much, that person's taking, and you don't feel valued. Or maybe you have expressed what you need and you're not getting it, but you're still in that situation and it happens again and it happens again. If you find there are common threads that are happening throughout your dating and relationship sort of way, or even if you're in one relationship and you feel like it's not right and you've tried and it's still not right, the first thing is to look within. Be honest and quite brutal with yourself in that if it's happening again and again and again, there are some common things that are happening. Number one, you are allowing it. Number two, you let that person into your life. Number three, if you're finding yourself doing things or feeling in a certain way, that's because of something you went along with or something you allowed to happen in the first place, and probably you're repeatedly doing so. So the first thing for me was saying, okay, I'm one of the reasons why these things are happening. And I did decide to take a really, really hard look at myself. And I came to realize there was a lot of childhood things. There was a lot of neediness, a lot of toxic behaviors that I witnessed when I was a child, a lot of complete non-existent communication between family members, certain ways, certain survival methods that would get me love and attention and someone to stay with me. So there was a lot to unpack, and I feel like if I hadn't really got real with myself, I would simply be repeating those behaviors, because it's important to know otherwise. So that's step one, is just really being honest with yourself about what you're bringing to the picture. Now, that's not going to fix it, but you have to first admit that you could possibly be part of the issue, okay? And this is not to be hard on yourself and to start hating yourself or to start thinking it's your fault. It isn't. It's not about fault. It's about getting to the solution. But we have to get real from the beginning. So number one, there's something I was bringing to that situation that wasn't good. Number two, then it's time to really look at our behavior. So at this point in my journey, I decided to ask myself, why was I behaving that way? What kind of results was this behavior bringing me, and what was the benefit of that? Was I getting what I wanted? Yes. Was I getting security? Yes, because I knew exactly what was going to happen next. It was nothing good. So it's about understanding ourselves and being gentle with ourselves, because they are survival programming, from childhood, from situations we have got this far in our lives because we've had our own protective mechanisms and our own tips and tricks that are ingrained within us that will get us certain things in life. Now, that doesn't mean they're good or right. So taking a look at our behavior and saying, okay, I've done this. This is what it's got me. Is this still what I want? So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is what I'm getting based on that behavior. Is that making me happy? No. Is that getting me what I want? No. Am I finding myself in the same situations? Yes. So what do I do now? The next thing is to ask myself, what do I actually want? And at this point, you can look at someone in your life, or you can look at someone inspirational and think, okay, I want to be healthily married. I want to be in a healthy relationship. It doesn't have to be these things. But for me, for example, is what do I want? I want a partner that is supportive, that is able to communicate, that is able to value me and actually love me and accept me for who I am. And as imperfect as I am, we love each other enough and we want to grow as individuals and together. And for us to be able to do that, because no human being is perfect and no human being is gonna, tick all your boxes, we have to be able to communicate and understand each other to the point where there's never going to be hatred or anger or resentment, because we're going to be honest. And even if we don't work out, then we've had an honest conversation about it and we can agree that we're not compatible or we're not a good fit. And we're not just going to lash out and play games and be silly children acting out of our egos. That is the picture that I have in my mind when it comes to a relationship. Now there's no perfect person that's going to come to the table in that way. But if I was to meet someone and I'm able to communicate with them about the things that I'm not good at or the things that I'm working on, and they're able to communicate with me the same, and we're able to respect each other's vision and each other's ultimate goal and what we're moving towards, that is the ultimate scenario that I'm looking for in my life, for my life partner. So if I'm working backwards from that point in time, then I can become the person that I feel I would want for myself. So if I expect someone that understands me and is able to communicate and is going to be kind and mature in a relationship the way I am saying it out loud like this, then I have to also become that person. And I have to work on myself and know myself so I can communicate well with that person, know myself so I can understand and be confident in my own values and my own vision in my life. And I have to understand myself enough to not let my emotions trigger me instead of communicating in a healthy way with another person. Now, the thing that I've also learned as a process is that many people can't do that. So even if you try and communicate with people, there will be times, you'll have chemistry and you will have fun and all these things, but when it comes to the tough parts and you try and explain to them and communicate how you feel and that you are not happy being spoken to a certain way or not happy being treated a certain way, there are people who will turn around and say, well, I don't think that's how I treated you and that's your problem. They are the sort of people that aren't willing to work with you and that aren't able to look at their behavior and understand someone else's point of view, and they're not able to communicate healthily, and they're not able to consider your feelings, and they're not in it for the health of the relationship and for growth. They're in it to have things the way they want it and not have to deal with difficult things. Now for me, that's not something I want. I tried to be the bigger person and accept that sort of thing, but ultimately there's going to be a point where there's only so much you can tolerate, and there's only so much non-communication and being able to understand each other that you're going to be able to tolerate until you reach a point where it just can't continue anymore. So for me, if I feel someone isn't able to communicate or isn't able to hear me and really truly understand, and they're not interested in things working for both people in the relationship, then that for me is a non-negotiable, and it's a hard kind of limit. But I know that now, whereas I didn't used to know this. I used to kick and scream, but now I can remove myself at a point where I know I've tried to communicate, they weren't receptive to it, and it's not worth me getting upset over or angry over or spending endless nights crying and thinking, I'm not good enough or whatever. It's just that we're not compatible from a communication point of view or like a vision of how we want the relationship to be. I hope this makes sense. Now, once I got to know myself, then I started to experience relationships a little bit differently, in that I would still maybe be attracted to the wrong people, or the same sort of guy who couldn't communicate, who wasn't willing to compromise and things like that. But I was able to stay stronger in my way of acting with that. Not perfect, but no, I would still get triggered and things. But I definitely noticed in myself an ability to say, okay, I don't like the way you spoke to me. It doesn't make me feel valued or respected. And that's something that I'm not okay with. So we can talk about it and try and find a solution. Or, if this is not something we can work through, then I'm afraid this may not be the right thing for myself, and it's perhaps that we're just not compatible at this point in our lives. Now that's a very clear way of me looking at something, and it's not clouded by like sexual attraction. It's not clouded by, oh, I've got to get married in the next 10 years. And the reason why I don't feel those things is because I no longer let myself get swept up by another person. So this is the other thing I want to get to. In the past, I would meet someone and like within a couple of dates, I was married off to them, and I would create these scenarios, and I would see the good things in the person and be like, right, okay, I'm this is it, I've got to make it work, I've got to this and I've got to that. Now, at this point in my dating journey, I take my time in getting to know a person. Dating is about, and even if you're in a relationship and you're seeing each other quite a lot, staying over and spending quite a bit of time with each other, the beginning of the relationship is getting information and getting to know someone else. You're getting to know a whole individual that's got their own hang-ups, they've got their own programming, they've got their own issues, their own good and bad points. You can't fall in love with them straight away. You may have the chemistry, you may have those things, which is great if you do. But ultimately, I don't fall in love with a picture or with a vision or with a potential of someone. For me, I have learned what truly matters in my life. And it, just like I said, it's the attributes and the characteristics and the character of someone, their integrity, their kindness, their ability to communicate, their kindness and patience with me, and their desire to see me happy and vice versa. There are other very, very different things to like chemistry and good sex and things like that. Now, the reason why I've understood that is because I've experienced, as many of you might feel the same as I feel now, it's great to have those things, those butterflies, the chemistry, but they don't determine long-term success of a relationship. The things that I've learned determine long-term success, and this is from, doing a lot of work myself, is that ability to communicate, that genuine being willing to work on myself and you being able to work on yourself, and us growing and working on each other and working and being committed to being the best versions in our relationship for ourselves and for the other person. These are very, very different things than, oh, is he hot or is he good in bed? They're very, very different things. And I think when you reach a point like that where you think to yourself, do you know what? I know my worth. I know what I deserve. And I know the sort of person I am in a relationship. And I know with the correct person who is also on a journey that's similar to me, and we've got similar values, similar vision for the future, I know we can be incredible together. I have no doubt. I have that belief in myself now. And this just means I'm not going to compromise on the things that are very important. I'm not going to compromise on the way I believe someone should show me respect, or the way I would like someone to be attentive to me and be in contact with me and not ghost for a week, or like days and days I don't hear from them and all of a sudden they expect that I'm intimate with them and we go from one end to the other of the scale. These are little things, but I'm very passionate about this part of my life because I've struggled so much with it. And I think once I got to know myself, and once I got to finally love myself and understand that I do deserve someone who's going to treat me well, and because I treat myself well and I value myself and I take care of myself and I listen to myself and I care about my own happiness and my own health and my own well-being, I do feel like I deserve someone who's also going to treat me with respect and who's going to treat me with care and kindness and love. And it sounds crazy that I'm saying I've learned that, but I do think without even realizing, our childhood and the experiences and even small or big stuff that we've been through can really impact the way we see what we deserve and what we will and won't allow from another person. So if anybody else has struggled in their journey to kind of be in a relationship that feels right, I'm on that journey with you guys, and there's definitely things that have helped me, and there's definitely days where I have to remind myself that I am worth the things that I believe I'm worth. And when a situation presents itself where someone starts to disrespect me, I'm still not like instantly clocking it. It still takes a little bit of processing. So I have learned to take my time in getting to know someone. I have learned to take my time in processing how I feel about someone. I have learned to not rush the process, not go all in, but I'm still not perfect. And I can start to show the signs of going too much in and giving too much to the wrong person. Now, if it's the right person, I do feel like we know that and we have a mutual give and take, and it just feels right. Now, I haven't quite found the right person for me in that respect, but I definitely have learned that it's also important for me not to overdo that side if I don't feel the same from their end. I hope this makes sense. I just really felt like that today. I was inspired by Matthew Hussey. I've just watched a free webinar that he put on, and it's for some of us, I mean, I speak for myself, I am passionate about communication, and I really feel like a bad relationship and the wrong person by my side can cause a lot of turmoil, a lot of stress, and even, you know, throw a lot of things out for me. And I'm very particular about this because I think it's very, very important who we enmesh ourselves with, who we have in our lives every day. It needs to be someone that brings out the best in me and not the worst in me. And I really wish that for every single person out there, and everybody's very, very different, but ultimately the partner that we choose is very, very important. You do need communication, and you need to talk to each other, and you need to understand each other in relationships, and you need to work together, but not at the cost of you dimming down your light and not being the person that you know you are, and putting up with things that you shouldn't be putting up with, whether it's disrespect, no communication, those sort of things. I believe in this, and I just feel like we all should, because we're all worth something that lights up our soul, and not in the sexual way, not in like in short-term bursts way, but in a long-term, rest of my life, this is the right thing for me, and this makes my soul sing, my soul like brighter every single day. And that's what I wish for you, and that's what I wish for me. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I feel like it's been quite a long one, and I hope it made sense. And good luck in your journey of finding the right person. Stick with me if you want to chat about more things like this. I really truly believe that we are all worthy of the love that we desire. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one. If you enjoyed my video, please don't forget to give me that thumbs up, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.